People who take massive war crime level dumps in public bathrooms, but don't flush. Why? As a janitor I'd like to know the answer to this as well. Also, why poop in the urinal? Shitter was full. To assert dominance. Just like the mountain, because it's there. That's a question for the Hardly boys. Can't flush it. If it's on the floor now can I? Fair play. My dude really said check and mate. Or foreplay? Kerjabing bathroom floor. By any chance, is Kerjabing related to Chandler? Sometimes there's shit outside of the toilet. My husband worked at a gym for 12 years. Some unknown member was known among the staff as the Magster because he missed the bowl and left it there many times over the years. It was a male or someone who only used the men's locker room, but they never did find out who it was. The gym closed, so maybe the person has moved on to other public restrooms in the greater Philadelphia main line vicinity. I would ask DH how his day at work was. He'd say crappy. I didn't sell any memberships and the Magster struck again. That's all wrong. Everyone knows when someone does this they are to be known as the phantom pooper. We had one at work who would take massive dumps and not flush. There were emails calling them out trying to poop shame them into flushing. Our facilities manager made it his mission to catch the phantom pooper. He would be like, I have it narrowed down to about 5 candidates. I left the building before he/she was unmasked. I wonder if they were ever caught brown-handed. I believe it's called the fight or flight response. Lord knows I booked it out of there. Did you flush? He asked. Realizing he might not like the answer. Armchair anthropologist here with a real theory. For homeless people, public restrooms are the only restrooms. Now not that all homeless are junkies. But for sure there are homeless opioid users. Also, it is a symptom of opioid abuse that you can't shit. But when you do, you birth a behemoth worthy of legend. So you drop a legit log that won't even flush by its sheer length and girth and you're homeless and high on opioids. Do you have the courtesy to break that guy up and send him on his journey? Nah, probably not. You got better shit to do. Maybe the homeless opioid addict wasn't being rude, but forgot his travel poop knife at home. Oh wait, no, he is homeless, so would definitely have his poop knife on his person. Must just be a pride thing. Hate to drop an impressive behemoth and not have anyone else appreciate it. Us lucky folks with homes and smart devices can just snap a pic and text it to all of our friends, but his only option is to leave it and let it slowly dissolve. Some people like to show off. Big dick energy. Big poop energy. They likely didn't have their poop knife. Edit. Thanks for the awards, people. For real though, I'm just enjoying that I got to make some people laugh a little. If they wanted to show off then they should've just put it in a Ziploc bag and passed it around. The Arby's. The Waffle House seems like a more appropriate venue. For me, I get confused when there's no paper and no way in hell they had a ghosty edit. I'm guessing there are several names for it. I've always heard them referred to as a ghosty though. You don't know it's a ghosty without paper. They flushed once, the paper washed down, but the log didn't. Yep. There's a certain consistency of floater that will just unravel itself from all the toilet paper and hang around for infinite flushes. I have lived with one of those people. Said person would wipe, close the lid and flush. If they were in a hurry they wouldn't both reopening the lid to check. Maybe they wash their ass off in the sink. Well, now I have a fear that someday I'm gonna walk into the public restroom and find someone pantsless at the sink. What if it's so large it doesn't flush? Poop knife. Quick military story. I used to be a missile officer in the Air Force. A couple hundred times. 392 to be exact, in the mid 2000s. I went out to remote sites and commanded nuclear missiles, etc. Anyway, those remote sites had underground capsules replete with toilets. Some of those toilets didn't work too well on the solids, so some of my compatriots developed a poop knife, that is, a button knife stolen from the side's kitchen tied/taped to a plunger handle. We used the poop knife for months, maybe years, can't remember exactly. But it cut a lot of shit down to size. Unfortunately, towards the end of my career going to those sites, that fucking gross knife disappeared, and it was theorized that it went back into kitchen rotation. If I had to guess, it was a departing officer's way of saying fuck you to some pretty frustrating, stressful duty. Everybody was wary of every butter knife for months. I really do suspect this is an issue. If you take a massive dump and think the toilet is going to overflow, if you try and flush, I suppose the best recourse for the dump taker is just to leave. As someone who used to use heroin, I can tell you my friend this is true. You don't go for sometimes weeks if you're using hard. So when it comes in a public bathroom cause you're homeless. It's dangerous. It's rock hard and 2x 3x wider than your asshole. You scream and cry, feel violated. Eventually you have start breaking it apart with your fingers. Just to get it started. Then grab onto the handicap rail and scream and push while this literal rock log with the exact impression of your intestines, cause it's been in there so long, rips out how you. The end of it is covered in blood. You wipe a little blood off, look down in horror at the toilet. You try to flush, it doesn't even move. Nor break apart. Sometimes you try and break it up, not leave it for someone. Sometimes you even remove it and throw it away. But sometimes you're just too horrified, sick, and weak to do anything about it. And you know, someone will always remember it. Well, having had the office by the bathrooms, I can probably tell you. Mostly they just don't know that it didn't go down. Epic filled bowls take more than one flush and some people's mothers didn't raise them to check their flush. They just get up, hit the lever, hopefully wet their hands, and leave. Other people clog the toilet. In my case we had a plunger, but many bathrooms just don't for some ungodly reason. And even in our case, many people just leave because they don't know how / don't want to deal with a clogged toilet. Again, I blame bad parenting. Probably just didn't get enough hugs as a child. Oh, and there were a few people that put fucking paper towel in the toilet. Those are the cat stranglers. You really have to watch out for them. I only recently discovered our toilets at work are this way. In my defense, apparently the pipes are fucked up and it's a delayed reaction. I only found out recently because I was the one of a couple people in the office and I was having a pretty bad stomach day. I knew for a fact that no one had gone in between my trips, and yet there was my shame in all its glory. It had come back for revenge, or to say hello. I'm not sure. It was not ready to depart this world. It was unfinished business. I did my deed. I watched it flush. The water filled back up. It was clean. Then, I waited. Sure enough, it came slinking back out like a guilty dog after eating trash. I flushed twice for number 2 now. That seems to do the trick. I worked in a place where several times a week, someone would take a shit that looked like someone set off a poop bomb. Like, the toilet was just the place where it happened, and not in any way containing it. We all strongly suspected the 350-pound guy in our department, but he was super nice, so no one ever said anything. What about the people that have sticky poop where, no matter how many times you flush, it doesn't dislodge and you have to use another bowl? I imagine the dude doing the walk of shame to another stall to continue on his path of toilet destruction. Used to work in a small office with 2 separate bathrooms, one on either side of our office space. Each was a tiny room with a toilet and a sink. There was a guy who without fail, about an hour or 2 after lunch, would decimate one crime scene level mess with the odor as well, and that odor would waft outward to the nearest cubicle residents, who complained daily. He never flushed, and his excuse was that he'd read how toilets create an aerosol effect when they're flushed, which sends a cloud of mist into the air, and he refused to endure that, because who knows who else used that toilet, which meant someone else got the honor of being sprayed with his leavings. Boss told him he had 2 choices, flush and spray Lysol generously, which truly does little to abate the stench, or use the facilities somewhere else. I'm sorry to say he chose to go to the nearest fast food place instead. To those valiant McDonald's employees, I'm so sorry. You did not deserve that. OMG, my office at my old work was directly across from the toilet. There were 6 of us in that building and it didn't take long to figure out who our terrorist shitter was because she came in at 8 and was in the bathroom by 830 without fail. At about 840, rolling stink clouds would permeate the complex, my office being hit the worst, but honestly it smelled so bad everyone was near to being poisoned. On a daily basis. Paint peeled, plants withered and died in the wake of the gas cloud. She ate a great deal of fried food, and drank nothing but coffee and soda, at least while at work. I took to closing my office door at about 820 and took to rolling up a blanket to block the space between the bottom of the door, and it seemed to help at least keep the air breathable without the aid of gas masks. Other tricks we tried were putting a box of matches in each of the offices so we could strike them to cover up the stench, but those got taken away by management. I suppose they feared we'd burn the place down after being blinded by the stench and dabbing Vicks under our noses. It was truly the worst shit I'd ever smelled, and I don't know why she couldn't retrain her bowels to erupt earlier before she left for work. Her husband probably threatened her with divorce if she didn't find someplace else to poop. Jesus. I worked at McDonald's for 2 years in high school, and what I could literally never understand was the people who threw their used pee in the fucking trash can next to the toilet. Like Jesus, it's called toilet paper. Infuriating. And then there were the people who decided to just shit on the seats. Full disclosure, I just mopped them bitches. I was not getting within 5 feet of someone else's shit for no measly 8 hours while my managers got paid much more than that to count it ill. So I took the mop and mopped the MF toilet, then disinfected it with spray. The mop was easy to clean though. I could just take it to the mop sink and spray that hoe off with an industrial hose and use food grade disinfectant in a new mop bucket to soak and kill the germs. I did this once because I had no choice. I had to be somewhere early for work that was 1.5 hours away. So I'm driving this whole time before sunrise, drinking coffee, a little nervous for this work thing. And now I have to shit bad. I find a random Denny's and run straight to the bathroom. There's only one stall. I lock the door and turn to find someone clogged the entire bowl with paper and ass gaskets. I proceed to push out this ridiculous soft serve mountain on top of the soggy paper platform, like a McDonald's ice cream cone, but shit. The entire pile is above water. I had to hover and wipe just to avoid touching it. I had no choice but to top it off with a blanket of shitty paper. By the time I'm done, the summit is a good 3 inches above seat level. I could push that flusher 100 times and the whole structure wouldn't budge. Absolutely shameful. If anyone here is a Denny's employee in Northridge, CA that had to deal with this, I'm sorry. I would love it if another comment tells their side of this completely separate from yours. Imagine if a worker saw the first shit, left to go get into their hazmat suit, and came back to see the shit had tripled in size. Okay, so this is my story and I can't be bothered changing accounts to a throwaway, so hopefully I don't get any repercussions. I had a customer years and years ago. She hated me, and I never knew why. I was polite, eager to help but not obnoxious. My boss theorized it was because I was a kid. Mind you, I was about 21, but looked around 15. I found out she worked as a cleaner for public toilets, and that included a local one. One day, I was serving her at the register, and she was paying cash. Instead of handing the money over like a decent human, she tossed it and waited for me to pick up the coins. I picked up the coins and smiled, asking if she was okay, and brushed it off as an accident. On my lunch break, she did it to the local cafe worker, a girl who was around my age. I asked around and yeah, she did this to all the kids who served her. So, I did what any mature 21-year-old did. I worked in a pharmacy, bought some laxatives, and waited after my shift. I went to the local public toilet that I knew she cleaned and let out the biggest, wettest, most cramp-induced shit I had ever had. It hurt and I swear I lost a few kilograms. I pulled out a Sharpie and wrote in the cubicle, "Treat us with respect and you throw money. We throw shit," and so on. I did a stakeout. I was a distance away in a parking lot and waited. I ate some macas and waited. Around 7:30 to 8 o'clock she arrived in her glorious uniform and her trolley of goods. She went in and came out and joked. I laughed and watched. She was in there for close to an hour. The next time I served her, she was timid. She was scared. She did not throw money at me. TL, doctor, I took laxatives to get revenge on a cleaner who was mean to me and my peers. Edit. Thanks for the awards, guys. Here's a follow-up. So about a week or so after this shit happened, she was back into the pharmacy and she was all bitchy again, but no money throwing. I decided to do one last, smaller, non-laxative induced turd for her. This time, I didn't do a stakeout because I couldn't be fucked, but I left a decent sized turd baby in that porcelain with only one thing written in Sharpie. We are still watching you. I reckon she got the message because she stopped being a massive bitch after that. Last I heard of her, because it's been like 8 years now, is that she had quit her job not too long after and is a quiet and respectful customer. Now, remember kids, violence is never the answer. You can show people the light by opening your blinking abyss.